in a mysterious forest, where the trees seemed to be fellow travelers and the evening twilight shrouded the world. In its gloom stood a lonely hut. This hut served as a shelter for travelers and those who went on unusual journeys to the most remote corners of the forest. But few people knew that this hut hid a terrible secret. People who went to this hut never returned. They disappeared as if they were swallowed up by the forest itself. Rumors spread among the trees that at night inhuman screams and sounds were coming from the hut, that evil spirits and ghosts were at work there. No one could tell what exactly was going on there, but anyone who dared to go in there disappeared without a trace. One day, a young and brave traveler named Andrew decided to test how scary this cabin in the woods was. He packed a backpack with provisions, a flashlight, and a knife and set off deep into the forest. The path to the cabin was difficult. Many forks disappeared in the thickets. But Andrew kept walking, as if an obsession was drawing him forward. When he reached the hut, the sun was already beginning to disappear over the horizon. Andrew stepped inside, feeling a slight shiver. The hut was empty and gloomy. Mold covered the walls, cobwebs stretched from ceiling to floor. Andrew spread out his sleeping bag, settled down on the old bed, and waited. At night, when darkness enveloped the forest, strange things began to happen. Soft whispers came from the walls, and then eerie screams. The light from the lantern danced, creating ghostly shadows on the walls. Andrew felt that something invisible was approaching him. His heart was pounding frantically, but he could not move. And then a figure appeared out of the darkness, a woman in a white dress with long black hair. She approached him slowly, her eyes gleaming in the gloom. She began to whisper some incomprehensible words, and Andrew felt that his body was becoming heavy. He could not move. The woman approached him, and he saw emptiness and despair in her eyes. From that moment on, Andrew disappeared, as if he had been swallowed up by the forest itself. He was searched for, but no trace of him was found. The cabin in the forest remained as mysterious and scary, and everyone who heard the story knew that it was better to stay away from this place, so as not to become the next victim of its dark secrets. As the years went by, the cabin in the woods was the subject of many researches and legends. But anyone who dared to approach the place disappeared without a trace. People said that the cabin was haunted by the souls of those who had once gotten lost in the forest, and now they cursed the place. One day, a group of intrepid explorers decided to solve the mystery of the forest cabin. Armed with cameras, flashlights, and walkie-talkies, they set off deep into the forest. In the evening, as darkness descended on the land, they reached the cabin. The night was cold and gloomy, and the whispering, moaning, and screaming began again. But the explorers did not give up. They hoped to capture something strange on camera and solve the mystery of the place, but something was wrong. One by one, the walkie-talkie signals disappeared. The cameras went off. Finally, they felt something invisible begin to surround them, and everyone was paralyzed, as if tree roots had grown into their bodies. A woman in a white dress reappeared out of the gloom. Despair gleamed in her eyes, and she began to cast strange spells. The explorers could not move, could not utter a word. She pulled them closer and began to disappear with them into the darkness. From then on, no one dared to approach the house in the forest. It remained dark and abandoned, its mystery unsolved. And its dark curse continued to frighten all who dared to think of adventures in this remote corner of the forest. The cabin became a symbol of fear and mysticism, and its existence a reminder that in some places it is better not to disturb the natural order and not to reveal secrets that are better left unsolved. Since the disappearance of the research team, the investigation into this mysterious story has received widespread publicity. People from all over the world traveled to the forest to investigate the cabin and unravel its mysteries. However, none of these expeditions were successful. Everyone who entered the hut fell victim to its sinister power. Sometimes they were found later, but they were only ghosts of themselves, mentally disturbed and muttering strange words meaninglessly. Most disappeared forever, remaining in the cursed place. The legend of the cabin in the woods spread, and its name began to cause terror and fear in the hearts of the locals. However, among the daredevils, there were always those who intended to solve the mystery of this place forever. Some claimed that the cabin hid ancient artifacts capable of granting incredible powers. To this day, the cabin in the woods remains a dark and scary place that is best not visited. Its mystery remains unsolved, and it continues to consume those who dare to approach it. This place reminds us that some corners of nature hide terrible secrets that are best not touched, lest they awaken a sinister force that can change the fate of those who dare to challenge mysticism and mystery. And yet, despite the fear and apprehension, there is a legend that one day, in the darkest evening, one brave man, a man with an indomitable will and an incredible desire to unravel the mystery of the house, went in search of the truth. His name was Alexei, and he was known for his investigations of mystical places and mysterious phenomena. His determination was so strong that he did not fall for the legend of the cabin in the woods. He outfitted himself with the latest equipment, sensors, a protective suit, and a powerful flashlight. Alexei made his way through the forest, navigating among the night noises and strange voices, and came closer and closer to the cabin. The cabin was in semi-darkness, which made it even colder inside. The sounds of whispers and shouts grew louder and louder, but Alexei kept walking forward. When he entered the cabin itself, he felt his strength leave him. An invisible force began to encompass his body, but he resisted, adjusting his flashlight to maximum power. At that moment, a woman in a white dress appeared out of the darkness, just like before. But this time Alexei was ready. He pointed the flashlight at the woman and she screamed, disappearing into the darkness. The sounds of whispers and moans died down, and the surroundings became quiet and still. Alexei realized that the mystery of the cabin was connected to this woman, and her disappearance had freed the place from its curse. Now the cabin in the woods no longer inspires fear. People still avoid it, but it no longer consumes those who dare to approach it. The story of Alexei, who managed to unravel the mystery of the cabin, has become a legend among the locals and reminds us that even the darkest and scariest places can be conquered by a brave and determined man.